Hi, welcome to SEW-EURODRIVE, Driving the World. Today we have Reiner Blickle, and he's going to be talking to us about the history of SEW-EURODRIVE. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Colleen.
Anytime.
It was a long walk from the offices, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
20 feet.
Good commute.
Good commute. Yeah, so me and Colleen have been talking about this podcast thing and what we wanna how we want to approach it, and I was like, I don't know, let's start easy. What's a good one that might be interesting? And uh people ask me how the company start. We're in our 90th year now, so the very beginning is kind of fuzzy to me, but what I know and what I've been told is first off, me and my brother are fourth generation technically, right? So fourth.
Wow.
So my dad's dad, so his father-in-law, is where it really started.
Okay.
And then and that's where the details are fuzzy. So I think he was like in the financial banking world, and their whatever company he was working for bought this business, which turns into SEW, but it was like a warehouse type thing. And anyway, so that's fuzzy to me, but the real growth came when my grandfather took this motor concept and then and the modular concept, and I don't know how involved he was with that part of it, but I knew, like, essentially taking that, let's make a bunch of common parts and make custom, so to say, gear motors or electric motors, and then taking those common parts and then getting them closer to customers. So like they from Germany branched to France, and then throughout Europe, and then to Canada, America, China, and then everywhere else in between. So yeah, so my dad started traveling really early with his dad, just throughout Germany, and then further into Europe, and he was just part of his little travel buddy for a while.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so my dad had two brothers. One never really got into the business, but the other one, which I'm named after, Reiner, he as they got older, he my uncle Reiner stayed in Germany, and kind of ran the European thing. And my dad's like, okay, well, um, he moved to Canada.
Okay.
Prior to that, so he became a salesman in his early 20s in Canada as that business was growing, and met my mom along the way, as he was a traveling salesman. They met at a disco, as they used to call them. It was like a part of like a Holiday Inn, I think. So it was like this bar, Holiday Inn, and I guess she used to go there, and they met, as people used to do, not online, right?
Right. Yeah.
In
No
person.
apps then.
Right. So in person. So I guess they stayed in touch, and he was traveling east to west coast, and that was in Toronto, to back up, where she's from. She's from Hamilton, which is like a suburb of Toronto. It's like a very working class,
Yeah.
area. I think they're big into steel, and that's where her family's from, still lives. So yeah, so they end up getting together. Live in Canada for a while, and then at this point, my dad was really he was really into inventory, which he's like still can probably name every part that's in 7 Series stuff. It's crazy. So that was like his passion. So he really loved inventory. Really loved organizing things, and he would help start up Euro drives throughout the world. So they moved to Australia from there. Lived there 4, 5, 6 years. And my brother was born there, so he's technically Australian,
Okay.
which is interesting. Like our family's kind of like this United Nations. So
Yeah.
I was born here in America, in South Carolina. My brother is Australian. My mom's Canadian. My dad's German. So that's like my fun fact when people like are asking for something.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what's your fun fact about you? everyone's a different nationality. It's pretty cool.
I bet there's not too many families that can say that.
No, not all four.
Yeah,
You know,
everybody.
yeah, right.
Literally everybody.
Literally from a different country. So that's cool. But yeah. So he moved from Australia, and that would be the at that point, late '80s. And then he moved to America, which the first plant here in America was Troy, and then South Carolina came next, I believe, in the history of it. But really nothing like we were doing all business through dealers and stuff. So
Right.
we had like local support, but that was really it. So the growth really took off in like the '90s, mid '90s.
Okay.
Where like America is really coming to be like a good business for SEW outside of Germany and Europe. Canada is always their population's so small, so it's a good business, but it would never be what America is.
Right.
Just based on population and,
Right.
and user base, right? And then China. So that's 25 years old, but that just blew up.
How'd you guys get into China?
Yeah, so that story's a little hazy to me too. But essentially, I think it was the same dealer type thing, and then at some point, it just made sense. Hey, let's just go full on and open a plant there. And then like it was just massive growth, and it was at that time where if you had a decent business that would fit into that market, you were doing really well. Like China was just exploding.
Right.
They took on a lot of the principles of capitalism and just realized, hey, we've got this workforce. Let's do something with it. And then
Right.
China. I mean, you can look at the history of China, but it's the '90s really took off for China. So that's one of our biggest markets now. But what's really unique, I think, about us is we export very small amount of finished goods out of China. So like the product made there stays there.
Really?
Which is not like when you buy an iPhone, it's made there and like ships all over the world. Some stay there, but like most of it leaves, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So so like anything assembled in the U.S. or Europe is not made in China. There's a small product, like a small amount of product, like the big motors now we buy out from China.
Right.
They just manufacture them,
but that's SEW China.
But it's SEW China leaving, SEW product leaving China. But
right.
But not well. I'm making up a number, but 95% of it just stays in the China market, which is.
I mean,
I think it's different, right? Like
yeah, I mean that's not what I would have thought at all.
There's not a lot of companies that do that. I almost guarantee that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like most companies, like when they go to China, they send all of their assembly and manufacturing to China, and then start shipping everything.
Right,
out.
and then you ship it from there. That's like your manufacturing hub,
But SEW's
that's not the way it was set up for us.
I mean, you guys, I say you guys, we still have, plants in Germany, France, the Netherlands, U.S., Mexico, Australia. I mean,
yeah. So we have 15 or so manufacturing plants around the world. Lyman being one of them. So we manufacture the K series. But yeah, it's just China is super interesting because it's just such a big market now, but it all stays there, and it's just organically grown. It's just fascinating.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about. Think if we hadn't done that, trying to support that entire market without something there,
you couldn't do it.
Right. So
even if Germany expanded 4 times, you still couldn't.
It would just all be missed.
China
it'd be missed business.
It's like a perfect. I asked my dad about that. I was like, "What was the key to success there?" He was like, "It's really like a lot of luck and timing,
the sweet spot."
Right. So and to go back to China, a lot of businesses failed there because they tried to put a European or American like CEO in place, where we embraced. Well, if this is going to work, we need to adapt to their culture instead of trying to force, the corporate Western culture onto them. And I think if you have that approach in a culture like that, it's a lot easier to get things going because they know how to talk to each other and they know what the needs are and all that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been living together forever.
Yeah.
So,
So it was a much more natural fit, I guess is what I'm trying to say, instead of trying to force the way you do things in whatever country you're from there to embrace their culture and see what works for everybody.
and would you say we've done that pretty much everywhere we go? Because I mean, I know SEW USA is not exactly like
Yeah.
SEW Germany.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, for the most part, we're very decentralized, right? So,
Right.
So yeah, even here, we run differently than Germany would.
Yes, yes, we do.
So we're a lot leaner.
Yes.
And so that's one thing. And I think most countries are like that. Germany, they're the headquarters, so it does make sense to have a lot more layers because it's just so much more they're doing.
Right.
There's a lot more to take care of. But yeah, running lean, from my experience, is hard at times. But when the hard times come, I just feel like you get through them a lot easier because you're not having to do these massive layoffs and have to rehire and all that stuff. We just kind of make it work. But,
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting too.
Okay, so that's how we got everywhere. SEW is now global.
Right.
How did you and your brother kind of step into these roles? We heard your dad moved to Canada.
Right.
And then
right.
he started Australia and he was
right.
Mr. SEW, starting up plants.
Yep. So
got the US going. And now how do you guys fit into this?
Yeah. So my brother was pretty much always involved. Like he would travel with my dad. So he doesn't have a U.S. citizenship, so he had to leave the country every year and get his whatever redone so he can come back essentially or stay in the U.S. But you have to leave the country. I think you get your visa stamped or whatever, and then you can come back. So he would travel with my dad because my dad was still he set him up, but he still would go and check on him like once, twice a year.
Right.
So I forget how old he was when he started going to Australia, but like he would like go build motors at like 10 years old or something. He can't get in trouble now, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But so he's just like my dad's little travel buddy.
So kind of like your dad was.
So like his dad was. But so we're 4 years apart. So I guess at those times I just stay at home with my mom, and that would be that. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is my brother was always involved, and I was kind of like, my dad had a really good thing and never like pushed it.
Right. Okay.
So, like my brother was interested, just being with my dad and learning the business and stuff. He's very much more, from a young age, more business minded than I was. Right. So,
right. Okay.
So I really didn't get involved until like after college. My big passion was basketball, and I took that as far as I could. Got a scholarship and got injured, and that was that. But so I was forced to look at something else. Right.
Right. Got to do something.
Got to do something. So that was like. So after college, still didn't really know what I wanted to do, and just trying to find my way. And I worked at my mom's restaurant for a little bit. And my brother was like, "Why don't you just come, like, try marketing?" Because I started at that point, I was dabbling with graphic design just for fun. And I was like, "Okay, cool." So, started working in marketing, just doing some like really little projects, but whatever. It was a learning experience, and I started going to trade shows. I'm like, okay. I really had like no idea what SEW did. I mean,
really?
You
got an idea.
I knew we moved stuff, right? Like most people, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But again, it wasn't really pushed on me, so like, so I never really like ventured into it because I just didn't like I'm not an engineer, like I'm not like what do I want to say? I understood it like how the business sort of worked, but it just didn't interest me plainly. But now that I'm in it, it's totally different. It's cool. Like you just learn so much just by going to customers, doing the trade shows, and just being involved in it. But yeah, back to my dad not pushing it on me. It was probably the best thing he could have done. It's like the same thing I'm doing with my kids. I might like educate them a little bit better on it and like just industry and stuff. But
Right.
ultimately, it's got to be their decision.
Okay.
If they want to be involved in it, great. If not, that's also great. But I'm not going to push it because once you do that, I don't know if resentment's the right word, but it's like, the more you push something, the more you don't want to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So he understood that.
Especially when you're dealing with preteens and teens, it's like
Right.
when you start pushing them, then they're like, well, just because you said I
like,
need to, I'm not going to.
No, Dad, that sounds terrible. Well, okay.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's what I mean. And like knowing myself as a teenager, yeah, I would have definitely pushed back for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But it working out.
Yeah. So now
We're doing all right.
You're in the marketing and
now started marketing. Now I'm like way more sales, I guess. Than
sales. Okay.
Which is, it's also interesting, right?
It's its own animal, isn't it?
It's its own animal.
Yeah.
As you know. I mean, and you did the DSM like day to day, like ins and outs. I get involved in a little bit of everything. So
can't say I'm jealous.
Yeah. It's challenging, but it keeps it interesting. And the cool part is we're in so many different industries.
Yeah. Oh, we're everywhere.
Like we learn something every day, So that's
like we were saying, every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day.
So
every day is a school day.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to be honest. I thought you guys were the third generation, so fourth generation.
I guess technically we're fourth generation. So
hey, I live on technicalities, so
which is great for me because third generation usually ruins everything.
That's what I've always been told. So,
yeah.
Hey, we're in it. But if you're the fourth, we're good.
We're good. I mean, at least for two more.
Right? We're in the clear. Yeah.
There's 6 generations. It's probably.
I might not be around for that. So
I'm definitely not.
That's their problem.
Right. Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, is there anything else SEW we need to talk about, or is that kind of the gist of where we started, where we came from, and we got 10 more years to 100, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's exciting.
No, I mean, I'm sure we can do this again at some point and get more detailed, but
sure,
just for a quick deal, I think that's good.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, really appreciate the time.
Yep.